How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs Postgame Live. Indiana takes on USC and scores an 82-69 win here at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Sorry for being just a little bit late because I was trying to try something a little bit different. It was creating a little bit of a problem, but I'm very happy with just trying something different right now. So. Uh, the Hoosiers came out a little bit flat, a lot of bit flat actually, and struggled early on, but they did manage to pull things together in the second half, outscore the Trojans 44-31, and score this victory. That is their 13th of the year. Really, really important for Indiana to get the win, and I continue to be. I don't look. This isn't an Indiana issue. This is an issue with college basketball, and both teams tonight, not consistently, but sure did not go out of their way to try to find good shots along the way. It was about quantity over quality. And the fact that USC isn't very good really helped the Hoosiers, but they still played some good basketball along the way. Again, especially in the second half. Not Mackenzie Mbako. He really struggled tonight, but the Hoosiers overall turned the ball over just 6 times. Shot just 6 to 21 from 3-point range, but the Hoosiers dominated on the glass, 40-33, scored 38 points in the paint, and just took care of USC after halftime. Now, there's plenty to talk about the actual team and how it is and how they played. I'm having a really weird thing here with my call-in system that keeps hanging up on for some reason. So I just had a caller and I was about to go to, and the system hung up. And there you could hear it coming together right there. And hopefully we'll get this caller back because I really want to talk to him. Really sorry about that, folks. Having a hell of a time tonight. Just like Mackenzie Mbako had a hell of a time. He really, really struggled along the way. 812-393-2600 is the number. Doing something again a little bit different, going on camera, seeing what if I could add that, even though I don't know that you guys want to see my mug in all of this. But the Hoosiers are off to pick up their 13th win of the season, and that was important. Going to go ahead as I hope the calls will come in, or you could join us on the chat. Want to hear from you, obviously, and uh, there have been a couple of um, different uh, things that have gone out. I'm telling people on our other chat, please head over to this link due to technical difficulties. Oh, having a hell of a time today. Great. Welcome to 2025. It's really great. 812-393-2600 is the number, or we won't get it because the damn thing just hung up again. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let's go ahead and do this. While I'm waiting to try to figure out what's going on here, let me go ahead and bring up Mike Woodson during his post-game press conference, in which he just kind of talks about the game and what he saw from his Hoosiers.
Mike, what do you feel like made the offense better in the second half that helped you put this game a little bit out of USC's reach?
Defensive stops, rebounding the basketball and getting out, getting quick strikes. Thought we came out to start the game very slow, sluggish, and they played great early. And that's why they built a 10-point lead, and we were able to sub some and get back into the game.
Mike and then Zach.
You mentioned the sluggish start, not the first time at home that's happened this season. Have you kind of been able to pinpoint where that lack of energy has come from?
I'm not going to dwell on it. I mean, the bottom line is we won today, and our team has shown that they don't quit. You got to give Southern Cal, their team, credit because they came ready to play, and I thought that they were the most physical team starting the game. And once we got going and met their physicality, then our team we got back into the game and started playing Indiana basketball, which was nice to see. Give
Mike, I recognize
Southern
it's not
Cal,
by
their team,
choice
credit
necessarily
because they came ready to play, and I thought
just
that
the
they were
success
the most
offensively
physical
of
team.
some of these lineups that
starting the
only have
game.
kind of one player who is truly kind of a back to the basket post player give you any food for thought with the way that a guy like Luke is shooting the ball, the space it gives your guards, things like that?
Well, it gives us better space, but make no mistake about it, Malik is a big part of what we do. So, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, Coach, your next 11 games, all quad one opponents all in a row. Are there 3 or 4 things you look at that you feel you guys need to do well to have a good stretch in that time?
Iowa's the next team up. I'm not looking at the 11 games. I'm looking at Iowa. They're next on our
Yeah, Coach,
on our list, in terms of who we got to play. And they're well coached. They won a big game the other night coming from behind, and you're going to have to go down there and play for 40 minutes to beat Iowa. I mean, that's just how good they are at home.
Yeah, on Umar, I want to say he's averaging like 22 and 11 over the last 3. Is that as easy as matchups? Is it Malik being out? What do you kind of attribute that to?
He's playing better. He's gotten better. We're featuring him. He's a big piece to the puzzle. That's why we brought him here to play center for us. No, he's played well, and he's going to have to continue to play well the rest of the way through the Big Ten because teams are going to force him to play.
Coach, earlier this year you said you didn't know what your identity was, and then tonight you just said playing Indiana basketball got you guys back into this game. So what is Indiana basketball right now?
Well, when we're scrappy and defending and rebounding the ball as a unit and able to get out and play a little faster instead of staying in the half-court game, that's Indiana basketball. And we've had some glimpses of it off and on. I thought these last 3-4 games we're playing much better now, shooting the ball better from the three-point line. We didn't shoot it well tonight, but we had good looks, and we got to continue to take those shots when we have them.
Yeah, Coach, at the 12-minute mark of the first half, you called a timeout, and it seemed like after you guys came out of that, Miles and Trey were trying to get to the rim on almost every possession. Is that something that you saw that needed to happen to adjust to USC's defense?
No, we ran a few plays that kind of opened it up a little bit that we had just put in, today, and they executed it well. I mean, Gallo got a layup, Ballo got a dunk off of it. So, I mean, execution out of a timeout is critical. I mean, I didn't like the last timeout I called, and Gallo threw the ball away on the inbound pass. I mean, we got to be more sharper in that regard.
And Mike, 5 straight wins now. Where do you feel like the team has grown the most in this recent stretch compared to some of the early season losses?
Well, again, guys, we have 7 new players on our ball club, and we're still trying to figure it out, just like every Big Ten team, every college basketball team in the country. I mean, when you make drastic changes to your ball club, your roster, it takes time, and we're starting to grow and learn one another, and guys are feeling comfortable about who can do what and who can't do what. So, I mean, it makes it a big difference. But we still got a long way to go, and we're still growing.
Mike, I know you don't want to have one of your leading scorers go 0 for 8 and not score on a night, but you have to feel great about having multiple other players doing specifically so many different things. Rice goes 9 of 11 at the free throw line. Goody is 4 of 5 from behind the three-point line. And Ballo was 5 of 5 at the free throw line. Everybody did something different to really contribute. That has to bode well for you going down this next stretch coming.
No, it is. I mean, and that's kind of the makeup of our ball club. Every Big Ten team is talented and deep, and well coached. And when someone is struggling, Mac was struggling tonight, and I can't. I gotta search too as a coach. I mean, that's what we do. And there's no knock against Mac. He'll be back in there tomorrow, and he'll be ready to go hopefully for the Iowa game. But I got to lean on everybody, and it's what you do with the minutes that you get. And I thought the guys that came in off the bench gave us some positive minutes tonight, and that set us up to win a ball game.
Last question, Luke.
Coach, on Omar, did you see in the scouting report he might be able to use his body the way he did tonight and dominate the game, or did it come in the flow?
No, I mean, Ballo's a pretty big guy, and their center that started tonight wasn't as big as Ballo, but I thought they played Ballo early. He couldn't really touch the ball that much. They were topsiding him, and we did a poor job in trying to get it to him early. But as the game wore on, everything kind of loosened up, and we were able to utilize him a little bit more, and he delivered for us.
Thanks, Coach.
812-393-2600 is the number. Line is open again. Hopefully it'll stay open. Again, having just a pile of technical difficulties tonight, but wanted to start off with just talking about some individual performances. Umar Ballo, 23 points on 9 of 11 shooting, 5 of 5 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, and an assist, had a couple of blocks in 13 minutes. Umar continues to be a man among boys when it comes to these games. He's just unstoppable. And I thought it was interesting that Mike Woodson was asked about a possibility of changing somewhat the way that he plays, and he says that he would try to. Now I'm going to get right to this caller because he's called a couple of times. Caller, give me your name, where you're from, and what you got. And it cut out. Oh, we're having a time. All right, I got to shut down the call-in today, and this is a live call-in show, and it's a damn mess. Tried to do something different, and everything is falling apart. So let's go ahead and do this. Back to the individual performances. You had Ballo, 23 points, 9 of 11, plus 12 on the night. You had Miles Rice, 19 points on 5 of 13 shooting, went 9 of 11 from the free throw line, added 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Sneaky, getting in the ballpark of a triple double. Damn near got a double double. Great night from Miles. He attacked the basket a lot. He went hard to the hole, and he made things happen. And that was really important for the Hoosiers to be able to get that spark from their guard. And they need that game in, game out. That's what has been missing. Luke Goody, 16 points on 5 of 7 shooting, 4 of 5 from three-point range, had 4 rebounds in 34 minutes. Something to mention about Goody is he talked about how in the past few weeks he's been reading basically what sounds like a sports psychology, somewhat self-help book, and he says that it's really helping him along the way. I think it was Mind Gym, I think is what he said. And you know what? Whatever you need to do to get your mind right is critically important. He's clearly built his confidence over the past couple of weeks, and it's showing on the court. And I think some of Indiana's best moments, especially in the second half, was when they were a bit more patient with the ball and found Goody in the corner for a three. He had his moments. And when Indiana's offense is doing that, they are, real solid to watch. Trey Galloway, 11 points on 5 and 11 shooting, had 2 rebounds and 6 assists in 31 minutes. Galloway played really well. He was a spark in the second half as well. Then you get to Mackenzie Mbako, and he really struggled on the night. 0 of 8 shooting, missed all 5 of his three-point attempts. He did have 2 assists and a rebound, but played just 15 minutes, including just 10 minutes in the second half, as he just continued to struggle, and the Hoosiers were doing well without him on the floor. Answering the call on that was Bryson Tucker, kind of picking up those minutes. He comes off the bench to get 9 points on 4 of 9 shooting, adds 4 rebounds and an assist to go with a steal in 16 minutes. Was really a spark plug for the Hoosiers. Also off the bench, Kanan Carlisle, 3 points on 1 of 7 shooting. Carlisle is one of those guys that's really forcing things. And that to me is something that is interesting to me. Somehow we have somebody in, well, see, I don't understand. I'm going to have to just, yeah, there we go. What a mess. What a mess of a show. But Carlisle is one of those guys that at one point he was forcing up a shot with 23 seconds left on the shot clock. Really just bad shot selection and just playing it in a way that it just wasn't great. Um, it works against USC, and I'm not complaining about the win at all. Don't get me wrong, I'm not. And there's people are just over here just killing me on Twitter about you sound old, and this is ridiculous. Indiana just won by 13. Words. Don't see. He says somebody says I don't see the value of being upset. Not saying you are, but some definitely during a Big Ten game in which you're winning comfortably because it may be not good enough in a hypothetical game in the future. Someone else says, bad take, go to bed, old man. I wish I can. This didn't age well. Those last 30 minutes were the best IU has played. I will disagree with that. This other guy says, Ken Bykoff has become so miserable. It's sad. I want to move on from Woodson too, but my goodness, my issue isn't necessarily with just Indiana on this thing. It is college basketball in general. And that one, yeah, go ahead and call me old. That's fine because people don't hunt quality shots. They're hunting quantity. And if we get enough, you go ahead and knock it down. We could win some ball games. And the wins are obviously important. That is the whole thing. It's also really important to understand, and this isn't Indiana's fault. They have 13 wins, and as you heard Jeff Rabjohn say in the post game, 13 of those wins, 11 of them have come against quad 3 or 4 teams, which means Indiana has padded its record against teams they should be beating, and they are. They are, and you give them credit for that. You absolutely give them credit for that. I mean, Indiana's losses this year: Louisville, Gonzaga, Nebraska, and who was the other one? Trying to remember now. No, those are the 3. They've lost 3 times. Those are games that they were away from Assembly Hall. They got boat raced in all 3 of them, and now you have 11 straight quad 1 opponents coming up. Indiana beat Penn State at the Palestra last week, and that was great. That to me was the best that Indiana has played so far this season. It is just a matter of I would like to see not just from the Hoosiers. USC was doing the same thing. They were taking shots with 20 seconds left on the shot clock. You had 23 seconds left on the shot clock. That's the best you could do. Run something, get a shot. Indiana in the second half played with a hell of a lot more patience, and that's why they were able to run away with this. There was still some moments where you had that impatience, but to me, what your challenge is it's not how, it's how many. And Indiana won the game by scoring more points than USC, which is how wins usually work. My question is if you just go shot hunting versus Iowa this weekend, or Illinois or UCLA or some of these teams that they have coming up, what will the results be? We're going to find out for sure. We're going to find out for sure. You also have the question mark. I really appreciate the fact that Indiana has not missed a beat since being without Malik Renew in the lineup. And I think that is really been impressive because they've won and they haven't skipped a beat. In fact, I think that they've been better because there just has the one big on the floor. And you heard Mike Woodson asked about that very thing. To me, it is. It's going to be interesting how the Hoosiers play when Renew comes back, because getting everybody back into the mix and not having a drop off when the opponents get a little bit tougher, that's going to be your real challenge. You know, Troika um, on the chat says, you know, Carlisle was shot hunting, and he was, and we've seen him do that. And I know he's trying to bust out of a slump. He's trying to find a shot, and those are the things where you have that. Sean on the things on the chat says, "Peegs, I'm unsubscribing. This guy sucks. Goodbye." Huh? Goodbye to you too, Sean. Thank you for uh, the feedback. Bottom line on this thing is Indiana didn't play bad at all. That's not what I'm saying. They were a little bit lackadaisical early in the day, but early in the game, but they bounced back. They out rebounded USC 40 to 33, held USC to 41% shooting. USC shot 23.1% from 3-point range, committed just 8 turnovers. The Hoosiers shoot 43.9% overall, 45.7 in the second half alone, 28% from three. Did a lot of work in the paint. Scored 11 points off turnovers. Hit the offensive glass really well. 11 of their 40 rebounds came on the offensive glass. So those are all real positives for this Hoosier ball club. And I hesitate to. I'm sorry that it sounds like I'm down on it. It's the style of play that is throughout college basketball for the most part that just is a concern for me, and I'm wondering why that is. I've never noticed it to be quite like this. And again, it's not an IU centric thing. USC was doing way worse with it than Indiana was, and Indiana's inconsistency when they're playing patient, that's when Indiana is really doing a nice job. When Miles Rice is attacking the basket and exploiting the seams in the defense, that's all great. That's where the Hoosiers are at their best. It's when the shots are coming way too early in the shot clock, and that's fine. You could do that if you're an up-tempo team, but that isn't a lot of times what's happening. It's just you have some bad shots going up, and you're not making them. The good news is, against Rutgers, against Minnesota, against USC, those kind of teams, you get away with it, and Indiana's done just that, and that is a good thing. They keep scoring the wins. And that ultimately is the goal. Being able to extend that 5 straight wins now. The challenges are about to get a lot harder because of the fact that you have um, some challenging opponents coming up, and by challenging, I'm talking about the likes of. Uh, you could look at it this way: the non-conference season is always a place where you make sure that you could get some wins, try to build a little bit of momentum. Obviously, Indiana didn't have a lot of momentum when they were in Louisville or in the Bahamas, taking on Louisville or taking on Gonzaga. You had the non-conference games, rather the conference games in early December, mid-December, I guess, when they took on Minnesota here and went to Lincoln and took on Nebraska. They've since had Chattanooga and Winthrop and Rutgers, Penn State and Philadelphia. But now it's Iowa at Iowa, Illinois, Ohio State, Northwestern at Northwestern, Maryland, Purdue, Wisconsin, Michigan State, UCLA, Purdue. It's going to get a lot harder real quick, real quick. And being able to find some kind of uh, consistency and just play with the patience, because again, when Indiana plays with patience, it's a pretty damn good ball club. When they don't, that's a bit of a problem. On the chat, Neil asked, what happened between Musselman and Woodson at the end? Looked like Musselman did a blow by during the handshake. So he was actually asked about that during the post game. And that to me is one of the questions here. Hold on, I'm just one. Actually, just got myself an update about Musselman. I had seen it from Peegs.com's Jared Kelly saying that he didn't want to talk about the guy on uh, he didn't want to talk about that guy being told that Musselman directed that at the official, not at Woodson. He was more upset about that than Woodson. So I was headed to the press room. I didn't see it. I've only heard reports about it. So I know that's not the best answer there, but Musselman very easily could have been upset with that. I know that Woody stopped and turned back. I did hear that. So hopefully that's something that there is no animosity between those guys from what I've at least just been told. But this is it's a good victory for the Hoosiers. They have a lot that they could get better along the way. Um, you just want to be more disciplined on the floor and more patient. And that's tough. And Woodson made the point about there being so many new guys along the way, and learning each other, and that's every team. And he it's something that he mentioned all year last year as being the case, and it was. I mean, to be fair, it was. Uh, Hopefully, you could see Indiana starting to pull things together a little bit stronger along the way than what we've seen to this point. I don't understand why people think it on Twitter saying that I'm old is offensive. I'm 51. That's getting old. I feel crotchety. I feel crotchety thinking about it. And I don't want to be that guy, but that's how I feel. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That's how I feel. And I just I want to see good basketball. Indiana was good enough to win by 13 against Southern California. That's in and of itself pretty weird to me. A little odd crowd today too. Assembly Hall was not packed by any stretch of the imagination. It's a Wednesday night. I get that. The students haven't come back. I get that too. It wasn't like a quiet building, but the balconies are pretty empty. USC is in a historic opponent. What I'm excited for is to see these tests that are about to come. This to me is your season. The non-conference season and extended, bottom of the Big Ten group, that's gone now. And now to me, this season really starts. It's going to get exciting because, again, Indiana has the horses to be very good. They're inconsistent, but they have the horses to be very good. When Mbako is held scoreless, and your other four starters step up and score in double figures. Ballo has been nearly unstoppable inside. Indiana's played the last couple of games without Malik Renew and hasn't missed a beat. Those are all positives for this ball club. The slow start, again, you get away with that at home, but how's it going to work at on the road? The bottom line on this, Indiana sits at 13-3 now, and sitting at 13-3. What is your measuring stick, or what do you think is possible for this team? That's my question. Is what is possible for this team? Uh, that's really where I get to with this, because you heard Woodson earlier talk about when we play Indiana basketball, and he was asked the follow up of what does Indiana basketball mean to you? Uh, Getting out, that identity is being discovered. Will that remain when you have Malik Renew back in the lineup and you're going with the two bigs again, and Indiana's going to have to adjust to changing a different way? That is where my question comes. But the win tonight is certainly a huge positive for the ball club. Neil on the chat says, with Renew still out heading into this stretch of Big Ten play, IU can't have Mbako with 0 points each night and Hatton with 0 points and only 1 rebound. This is kind of my thing, is this next stretch where you do have much stronger opponents coming up. You need contributions from your best players. You need guys out there. Hatton isn't one of those guys, but he's a body on the floor. And He only played 7 minutes, so his production is not my big concern, especially if your Balo's getting big minutes now, but if Renew comes back, that can make a big difference too, because Balo won't have to play as many minutes. Hopefully, Renew will be a little bit fresher along the way than he might have been. And at that point, if you could kind of keep those guys shifting in and out, and give them the opportunity to not always be on the floor as much together, I think that that could really change the way Indiana goes through the second half of this season because of the fact that early on, both of them on the floor, they were struggling a little bit to try to find their own identity, find where they fit in the offense. Without Renew on the floor, this has been get the ball to Balo and let him operate, and it opens things for everybody else. Renew could be that guy too. And you can make it so that there is no drop off in the way that you play if one of those guys is always resting and it always keeps a fresh big out on the floor. That's where I'm going to be really interested if they're able to go ahead and build off of what they've learned over the past several games, and that to me is the real question here. For those of you who are tuning in, normally we have call in portion of this. We're having problems. There were a lot of issues with this as I was trying to figure out how to get a little bit of movement, stream this to Twitter and Facebook and YouTube all at the same time, kind of get the show out there a little bit more. Obviously, ran into some hiccups and then have a problem with the call in portion. So this is way more like the old morning afters that I did for the past 10 years before before this year. But we'll get back to the call in for Indiana's next game, which of course is Saturday at 8 p.m. So it'll be late night Saturday, probably about 10 o'clock. I'll go live with that in a studio setting, so we won't have these kind of problems. Part of the problem is that you're in Assembly Hall and you're working this on a laptop and working some things out. So I apologize to everybody, and especially the one caller who tried to get in and simply couldn't. That I feel really bad about that because I love the callers. I love having everybody be part of this show. I want to hear from more of you, but it gets to be challenging. I understand. Uh, Indiana 82-69 winners over USC. Big Ten foe USC. Again, seems weird. Still feels more like a non-conference game, even though it counts. It'll get there. That tradition will come. That's another part of me being old is adjusting to that part of thing. But again, the big thing that people were taking away and that I was crabbing about online is just about the shots, the shot selection along the way, and that to me is interesting. The other thing is, I'm an IU alum, and I've been covering this program for 20 years. Um, and one of the questions here, or one of the things that was mentioned, a guy on Twitter, I said, my exact quote was, look, I don't need college teams to be old school Wisconsin, but a lack of patience offensively and a near complete lack of understanding of what it means to work for a good shot. Most possession bothers me. It's not an IU centric thing, it's all of college basketball. Then some guy on Twitter says, let me tell you, in quotes, let me tell you why this win and starting 4-1 in the Big Ten is actually bad. Well, that's obviously asinine for him to answer. That's fine. And my thing is, it's not like that. You beat the teams that are in front of you, and Indiana is talented enough to beat them. It's just as you continue against teams that aren't at the bottom of the Big Ten and have a hint of discipline, will you continue to be successful? To me, that's it. And the same guy then answered me, said, "I just don't see the value of being upset during a Big Ten game where you're winning comfortably." I'm not a fan. I want to see good basketball too. The win is great. It's a positive, but it doesn't make that fun to watch. It's the misunderstanding that a made shot is a good shot. That's the issue. A made shot does not automatically make it a good shot. That's what is really a challenge there. Troika on the chat says, will Woody balance the Bigs play time when Renew is back? He says one thing each season, but always plays two at the same time. Yeah, he was asked in the press conference about whether, there might be some changes. He's like, well, Renew will be out there. He's one of our best players. He'll be out there. Woody doesn't do a great job at answering questions. He talks around questions. Press conferences are not the most enlightening things. And that's fine. That's a coach's prerogative to answer however he wants. Coaches definitely don't like to be questioned at all about anything. And again, that comes with the gig. It is what it is. It is. Neil on the chat says 5 straight wins, but getting 13 wins to 20 wins by March seems tough despite having 15 games left. That said, remember Musselman coming into Assembly Hall with Arkansas in 2019 and beating IU. This USC team, Musselman's new over there. He's getting things up and running. He was really frustrated with a lot of things in this game. These two teams don't know each other. There's no history there or anything like that. So again, all of it made for an odd night at IU at Assembly Hall. Slow start. Indiana did a great job of rallying from a 10-point deficit early. USC was up 10. Ended up uh, running some early action to get Mackenzie Mbako shot in the corner. He missed, but it was a little bit of good action. They didn't necessarily run a ton of that, definitely not for him along the way, but they did do a good job of moving the ball around when they were patient in the second half and found shots. That was great. Indiana's energy was lacking in the first 5 minutes, and that doesn't make me happy. You want a team to come out and be ready to perform. They were able to rally and come back and do that. That's really great. Indiana's lead got up to as many as 13 and stayed there for the final. Considering they were down 10, that's a 23-point swing. That's rock solid. Rock solid way to come back from those issues. But again, just making sure that you can come back and play with consistency. That to me is everything. It's all about consistency. And the Hoosiers have not been great at that so far this year. But 82-69 is your victory for the Hoosiers. Next up, they head to Iowa City to take on the Hawkeyes in a game that is going to be a little bit more of a challenge, but it is one that the Hoosiers, if they play the way they did in the second half, they'll have a real nice opportunity to win. But they're going to have to be a lot more patient because Iowa is a much better defensive team than USC, and it's going to be physical. They better be ready to play. We'll see how they go. That's all the time we have on the Peegs Postgame Live. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best in IU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So come be a part of a thriving and exciting community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time. But for now, and for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody.